Hello, and welcome back to Human Behavior Lab. I'm New York, your host and observer. Today, we're looking at something that seems contradictory at first glance.
Hi everyone, I'm Juan. New York, what's the topic today? You mentioned something contradictory?
Indeed. This week, a fascinating opinion piece came out about California. It has one of the strongest economies in the world, ranking 5th globally if it were a country. Yet, it's also one of the most unequal places in the United States.
Wait, that sounds confusing. How can a place be super rich and super unequal at the same time?
That's precisely the paradox we'll examine today. But more importantly, we'll explore why living in a wealthy area can actually make people feel poorer. This connects to several other news stories this week about government transparency systems and economic contractions. Let's dissect the psychological structures behind these phenomena. Let's start with the facts. According to the CalMatters opinion piece, California's economy is massive. It's comparable to the UK or India in size. But at the same time, the poverty rate, when adjusted for cost of living, is the highest in the nation.
The highest? That's surprising. I always thought of California as the land of tech millionaires and Hollywood stars.
That perception is exactly what we need to analyze. When we talk about wealth, we must distinguish between aggregate wealth and distribution of wealth. California has enormous aggregate wealth, the total pie is huge. But the slices are distributed extremely unevenly.
Okay, so some people have massive slices and others have tiny crumbs. But why does this make people feel poor? If you live in a wealthy place, shouldn't you feel like things are going well?
That's where psychology becomes crucial. Let me introduce a concept called relative deprivation. It's a term from social psychology that describes how people feel deprived not because they lack things in absolute terms, but because they compare themselves to others.
Relative deprivation. So it's about feeling poor relative to who's around you?
Precisely. In psychology, we observe that subjective well-being is influenced more by relative status than absolute status. Someone earning $50,000 in a community where the average is $30,000 may feel wealthy. But that same person earning $50,000 in a community where the average is $200,000 may feel poor.
That makes so much sense. I felt that before. When I see friends posting vacation photos or new cars on social media, I suddenly feel like I'm not doing well, even though my life is actually fine.
You've identified an important modern amplifier, social media. In the past, we compared ourselves mainly to our neighbors. Now, we compare ourselves to curated highlights from millions of people worldwide. This creates what researchers call upward social comparison. We constantly see people who appear to be doing better than us.
And California probably has more of those successful people to compare to, right?
Exactly. When you live among tech billionaires, Hollywood celebrities, and successful entrepreneurs, your reference point for normal shifts dramatically. This creates a psychological phenomenon where even people who are objectively well off feel financially stressed.
It's like being tall but standing next to basketball players, so you feel short.
An excellent analogy. And this isn't just about feelings, it has real behavioral consequences. Research shows that perceived inequality affects mental health, social trust, and even political behavior. People in highly unequal societies tend to have lower social trust and higher anxiety.
So it's not just in our heads, it actually affects how we live.
The psychological effects are very real. Chronic stress from feeling behind can lead to health problems. People may take on excessive debt trying to maintain appearances. Social cohesion weakens when people feel the system is unfair. Let's examine why humans have this tendency to compare upward. From an evolutionary perspective, comparing ourselves to those doing better served a function. It motivated us to improve, to achieve more.
So it used to be helpful? Like, oh, that person has better hunting skills? I should learn from them?
Precisely. But in modern society, this mechanism can backfire. When the gap between us and those above us becomes too large, instead of motivating us, it creates feelings of helplessness and resentment. This is what psychologists call unattainable comparison.
Like trying to climb a mountain that's too steep, you just give up instead of trying harder.
That's correct. And here's where another news item becomes relevant. The BBC reported that the UK economy contracted, partly due to global tensions involving Iran. When people see economic instability, their comparison tendencies shift. They start comparing downward, at least I'm not in that situation, which can temporarily boost well-being.
Interesting. So bad economic news can sometimes make people feel better about their own situation?
In some cases, yes. This is called downward social comparison. We feel better when we see others doing worse. However, this is a fragile psychological defense. In highly unequal environments, even downward comparison offers limited comfort because the structural gap feels insurmountable.
So what can people do? Just stop comparing?
Suppressing comparison is nearly impossible. It's hardwired into human cognition. However, awareness of the mechanism helps. When we understand that our feelings of inadequacy stem from comparison rather than actual deprivation, we can respond more rationally.
So knowing that the feeling comes from comparison, not from actually being poor, helps us process it differently.
Exactly. Additionally, focusing on intrinsic goals, personal growth, relationships, community contribution, rather than extrinsic goals like wealth and status, has been shown to increase well-being regardless of economic circumstances. Now, let's connect this to another piece of news. And Arundel County announced the launch of Harbor, a modernized finance and e-procurement system. This might seem unrelated, but it touches on a crucial psychological factor: trust in systems.
A procurement system? How does that relate to feeling poor or inequality?
When people perceive inequality, they often question whether the system is fair. Transparency systems like Harbor attempt to address this by making government spending visible. The psychological principle here is procedural justice. People are more likely to accept outcomes they perceive as unfair if they believe the process was fair.
So if I can see how money is being spent, I might feel better about the system even if I'm not rich.
Research suggests yes. Transparency increases trust, and trust reduces the psychological burden of inequality. When people believe systems are corrupt or opaque, they feel more victimized by inequality. When they perceive transparency, they're more likely to view inequality as a structural challenge rather than personal failure.
That's really interesting. So the government showing us where money goes could actually help with this whole psychological issue?
It's one piece of the puzzle. But there's another dimension. The International IDEA announced a regional conference on money in politics 2026, from virtual money to real influence. This addresses how money, both traditional and digital, shapes political outcomes.
How does politics connect to the inequality psychology we've been discussing?
When people feel economically disadvantaged, they often seek explanations. If they perceive that money buys political influence, their sense of powerlessness increases. This creates what psychologists call learned helplessness, the belief that one's actions cannot change outcomes, leading to disengagement.
So feeling like the system is rigged makes people just give up?
In some cases, yes. But there's an interesting counter effect. When people understand the mechanisms, when they can analyze why they feel the way they do, they're more likely to take constructive action rather than disengage. Knowledge creates agency. Let's synthesize what we've discussed. The California paradox teaches us that wealth and well-being are not the same. A society can be rich while its people feel poor.
And that feeling comes from comparison, not just actual hardship.
Correct. Understanding relative deprivation helps us recognize that our feelings about economic status are subjective. We can feel poor even with material comfort, and we can feel wealthy even with modest means, depending on our reference points.
So what should viewers take away from this?
3 practical insights. First, recognize when you're making upward comparisons and question whether those comparisons serve you. Second, focus on intrinsic goals, relationships, growth, contribution, rather than purely financial benchmarks. Third, support transparency in systems, because procedural justice matters for psychological well-being.
That's actually really helpful. It's not about stopping comparison, but being aware of it and choosing what to focus on.
Precisely. The goal isn't to eliminate comparison, that's impossible. The goal is to understand its psychological mechanism so we can respond with awareness rather than reactivity.
Thank you, New York. This really changed how I think about wealth and happiness. It's not just about how much you have, but how you perceive it relative to your environment.
Indeed. And that perception is something we have more control over than we might think. Thank you for joining me in this analysis, Juan, and thank you to our viewers for watching Human Behavior Lab. Until next time, observe, analyze, and understand.